We've heard that legal methods have failed, political approaches have failed, and military means have not been able to prevent the many dangers that we have encountered. And so I would like to ask each of the panelists what message they would like to give to the public, because that seems to be our last recourse now. So we'll start in order, in one or two sentences as we're running out of time. Mr. Painter?
American voters, the decision is yours. The Supreme Court's not going to help you. Congress isn't going to help you. You need to help yourself. You are entitled to choose the next president of the United States and focus principally on character, moral character, and fitness, not whether the candidate agrees with you on a particular issue. Time is of the essence, and we live in a time of great risk if there is someone in the White House who's mentally incompetent for the job.
I did not speak about Donald Trump in my remarks, but had I had more time, I would have gone through the many instances during the Trump administration in which President Trump was pulled back from the brink in misusing the military, in misusing and abusing the chain of command for personal purposes. I'll mention just one because we're coming up on the vote, which is that President Trump, it's been now well established, had a plan to use the US Army to seize voting machines to try to rerun the election. Any president who believes that it is within his competence as president to order such a thing and to use the US military to do that is neither sane nor morally fit to be the president of the United States.
My most important message to the American people is to understand that these speakers here and the ones that will be following are going to make it very clear that Mr. Trump is completely unfit. But as I had said earlier, it's absolutely critical that you pay attention to the folks that you are electing to the House and the Senate. You are the people responsible for some of the crazies that we have there. So the reality is that the power is in your hands, and it is time for leadership, and it is time to sit at the table, look across the table, eyeball to eyeball to your family members and to your friends, and to speak the truth to them at what you're hearing here today about the risks that are involved and the threat to our democracy. And it is also important to look at Project 2025, because this is not one man alone who is running for the presidency. It is a cabal of individuals who only have their own self-interest at heart. They do not care about the American people. And that has been evidenced by what is already taking place. The dictatorship has begun. When you tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body, that is a dictatorship. When you tell schools what books they can and cannot have available to read in their libraries, that is a dictatorship. When you make it very clear that you have no interest in maintaining the laws that already exist for same-sex marriage, that is a dictatorship. So there is much that can be dismantled beyond national security that will affect each and every one of us throughout the United States and throughout the world, because the President of the United States is perceived as the guardian of the free world. And so it's incumbent upon us to take on that responsibility to be actively engaged in this next election, not just for the one person at the top of the ticket, but for all the way down ticket.
There are so many reasons to be frightened by the thought of a Donald Trump presidency, but I'm going to cite two of my favorite movies. The first was in 1959, nuclear war movie called On the Beach. And while the people in Melbourne, the last pocket of surviving humanity, are waiting to die from the effects of the nuclear war, there was a rally with a banner there, and it said, "There is still time, brother." And then they show it again at the very end, and there's nobody left alive. But for us, there's still time. We can make sure that this doesn't happen. We can reverse the way things are going now. And the second one I want to mention is a 1991 Japanese movie that won all the Japanese Academy Awards that year called Black Rain. And in that one, it's about Hiroshima, and they show, they have an atomic bomb survivor, Hibakusha, who's dying, and he gets the news that the United States is threatening to use nuclear weapons again in Korea. And he comments, he says, "An unjust peace is better than a just war." And I think we have to think about that and contemplate it, especially in the nuclear age, when there is no room for war. And that's what we're confronting in the world today.
So I just would have two messages to the American voter. And first is, do you want to return to a period of vengeful impulsiveness and total chaos that is not only a threat to our national security abroad, but it's a threat to our personal freedoms at home? Or do you want to vote for an individual who does have the judgment, does have the temperament, and does have the integrity to be a fully qualified and completely capable commander-in-chief on day one? Those are the choices, and the future of our country truly is at stake.
So a couple minutes here. I think these are all the right messages. I don't think it's about the message. I think it's how you say it and how you and the audience, the people that need to know and understand. And my efforts and my focus have been on those veterans that are undecided for either Harris or Trump in the battleground states. I think those veterans can have a huge influence on certainly their family network around them. And someone needs to speak to them. We need to speak to them in a straightforward, clear way that they grasp what this means in order, as Congressman Schneider was saying, you need a leader who's fit. Are you going to follow somebody that you can't trust? You're going to risk, I mean, we tell that to soldiers all the time. Really? And should we expect a soldier who's in our squad to take on a mission who doesn't trust his particular squad leader or his platoon leader or his company commander? That's not going to happen. So I think our challenge here is, how do we get the wording? How do we connect to these young folks? How do we get them off the couch? How do we get them to understand this is what fitness is? This is who you trust. This is how you can make that decision, and you've got to do it.